we shall start. यस्मात् जातं जगत् सर्वं यस्मिन्नेव प्रलीयते येनेदं धार्यते चैव तस्मै ज्ञानात्मने नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। तैत्तिरीयकसारस्य मयाचार्यप्रसादतः विस्पष्टार्थरुचीनां हि व्याख्येयं सम्प्रणीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ मनो ब्रह्मेति व्यजानात् मनसो ह्येव कल्बिमानि भूतानि जायन्ते मनसा जातानि जीवन्ति मनः प्रयन्त्यभिशंविशन्तीति तद्विज्ञाय पुनरेव वरुणं पितरमुपससार अधीहि भगवो ब्रह्मेति तगुं होवाच तपसा ब्रह्म विजिज्ञासस्व तपो ब्रह्मेति स तपोतप्यत स तपस्तप्त्वा. So this is the fourth Anuvaka in chapter 3. So we are in the midst of this Bhargavi Varuni Vidya, the knowledge gathered by this conversation between Bhrigu and Varuna. So this is called Bhargavi Varuni Vidya, which is the father-son sort of an interaction which we have been seeing. So as we have seen, Bhrigu is in the thick of contemplation. Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva tapo brahmeti sa tapo tapya sa tapaha atapyata. Therefore he went and simply did that. It's a serious thinking in trying to make sense of Brahman. Brahman is, Brahman is all these, in Chandogya Upanishad, so nicely he says, Uddalaka says that, Vacharambanam, Namadeyam. It's a very profound statement. He says, if you have to start a vocabulary of conversation, if the whole world is silent, then there is no vocabulary required. Vacharambanam. The moment you start talking, then he says Namadeyam. Names and forms will come. This is how he says. He says, Sarvam Mrinmayam. Everything is clay only. Moment you get into the world of Vyavahara, then you have now use something called pot, something called teacup, something called flower pot, something called flower vase. Otherwise everything is clay. He says, Sarvam Mrinmayam. Vacharambanam Namadeyam. That's what he says. In the same way, he, moment you have to start making, searching for things and all that, names and so Brahman is only a name. It's a tag. It's just a tag. It is that primordial cause of everything. Different religion may use different words. Even within a religion, there are a variety of different ways by which we can do. So this whole world of taxonomies and vocabularies and syntax are all because we want to get into some vyavahara. So he is into a vyavahara of knowing what is it. So there is a word Brahman which is required. So he is contemplating what is Brahman. Deep contemplation, that is what he is in the midst of that. And of course, the medium of contemplation leads him to certain inferences, which he tests it. He applies it to some known methodology which he has. So there is a testing, there is a validation, etc., all those that is happening, which he is doing on a framework called Panchakosha. This is what this chapter is all about. So we saw Annamaya Kosha and Annamaya and Pranamaya last two. Now chapter 2 of Taittiriya Upanishad also use the same framework of Panchakosha. Chapter 3 is also using the same framework of Panchakosha. The only difference between chapter 2 and chapter 3 is in chapter 2 it was all laid out as principles. The framework was established because it is a Upanishad part, so it merely said this is how it is. So it laid out all the principles. Whereas in this chapter, the whole idea is to experiment and find by experience. So that's the difference between chapter 2 and otherwise people will ask why is it getting repeated. It is getting repeated because in chapter 2 it is all told as an idea. And in chapter 3, this sadhaka is saying, I want to test it out. Because most of our pratyaksham eva, pratyaksham is one of the best anumanas. Pratyaksham is the best anumana that one can think of. Nothing can clarify things to us than experience. Nothing can clarify things in our life, not Vedanta. You take anything in life, nothing gives us that ultimate clarity until we experience. So that's why in this chapter, I think the Upanishad is indirectly telling us, you have to sort of experience. You have to test, contemplate, validate, dismiss it or accept it. That is the methodology, which is what you see. So this is the difference between chapter 2 and chapter 3. So the methodology is different. It is prompting us to say the concepts that are told in chapter 2 needs to be contemplated upon, needs to be verified in our own ways. Different people will come with different understanding. We need to go through that passage of time. That alone gives us that kind of an experience. So that is the difference between chapter 2 and chapter 3 in some ways, although the ideas are very similar, as you see, as far as Panchakoshas are concerned. So far what we have seen is Bhrigu came to a conclusion that Annam Brahmeti Vyajana, then he said no. Then he said Pranam Brahmeti Vijana, then he said no. So I want to qualify these two words, Annam and Prana. It's a very technical word in this Upanishad. Annam is not what we are eating in this context. In later context it comes Annam means the food and all that. Here Annam points to the samashti of the Anna that we eat. In common parlance, Annam we use for the food we eat. That is a Vyashti. That is a microcosm. But when he says Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat, what he means is the samashti Annam. Because this Annam comes from a larger repository called Annam. Similarly, this prana that he is talking about is not this usuru, not this air which you breathe in and breathe out. That comes from a cosmic energy of vitality. So it's a samashti. So that is what he is talking about. I want to clarify it a little bit more as we go today, because we should understand Annam Brahmeti Vyajanad, he didn't talk about this food. Or he didn't talk about this kosha. This kosha is Annamaya. Annamaya is different from Annam. This is Annamaya. He checked Annamaya and then connected it to Annam, and therefore he said Annam is Brahman, and he also dismissed it. Same thing he did with Pranamaya. It's internal testing, empirical generalization, and dismissing it, saying there is some other framework which is not fitting, so it cannot be. This is the methodology. It's a nice research methodology. This is called research methodology. You make a proposition, you put a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, try to validate it. Once you validate it, empirically generalize it, make it applicable in large, that is called research. He tries that, it is not working. So he is quitting it. He's saying it is not making sense. So that is the journey in which he is going. So in that journey we'll go to the third layer, which is the Manomaya. So that's what this mantra is. So we'll see. Mano brahmheti vyajanat manaso hyeva kalvimani bhutani jayante. Same mantra. You have to only global replace. Take prana and then put mana into it. Basically, simple English. So it says manaha brahma iti vyajanat. After the contemplation, he came to a newer level of understanding. It's not prana, it is not anna, it is actually manas. That's what he says. That is Brahman. That's what he came to the conclusion. Why? He applied that yardstick that seems to work at one level. Manasa heva kalu imani bhutani jayante. This existence of all these creatures happens because of existence of manas. Okay? And manasa jatani jivanti. So your sustenance is on account of manas, and manaha prayanti abhisam vishanti. So this needs a little explanation. You can't just like that take that English translation or the simple meaning of it. So let me attempt a little bit to explain this. At two level I want to. So the question is, now this part of the Upanishad is saying, Manas is the enabler of origin, Manas is the sustainer, and Manas is the destroyer. After everything destroys, it gets into Manas. So I think we need to make a little more sense of it. On the face of it, it is not obvious. So let's try to understand. We'll argue it at two levels. One is at the level of Vyavaharika level, day to day. Another is Vedantic level, Paramarthik. Both levels we will try to understand the profundity of why did he come to that conclusion, or why would we can also perhaps at a certain level of contemplation come there. So let us take the Vyavaharika level first, which is easy for us to. Now, first of all, this world, I have mentioned it sometime earlier also, this world, the word for this world is one of the word for this world is loka. Loka, right? It is called loka because lokra is the Sanskrit dhatu, or lochra. Lochra, from lochra you get lochana, I. From lokra you got loka. Now the meaning of both of them in Sanskrit, lochra and lokra, means darshane, in the sense of seeing. This is the meaning of the word. The Sanskrit dhatu, lochru, means in the sense of seeing. So the apparatus is called lochanam, which is used for seeing. That's how the word lochanam came. Lokra is also called in the sense of seeing. So loka means, what is it? In the sense of what is being seen. That's why it's called, what is world? World is what I see. The one that I choose not to see is not the world. First, let us get this part very clear. If somebody is telling me, if my attention is not on somebody's statement, that part of the world is not there for me. Or, that sense of the world is not there, that perception is not there for me. Or, if out of 5 indriyas, only 2 indriyas work. Think of a person who is visually impaired. For him, the concept of world is very different from the concept of world for us. Because this apparatus is not there, for him the notion of world is different. Now, similarly, a person who cannot speak, for him the meaning of world, because sound has a different meaning, that medium called sound is transmitted differently, and his perception of the world changes. I am told there are many creatures which have only 2 indriyas, 3 indriyas. For them, there is an ant going here. The ant's notion of the world is very different from our notion of world, because ant does not have 5 indriyas. A snake does not have 5 indriyas. So snake's understanding of the world is different from our understanding of world. This is the first point. So therefore, what are we saying? When we are alive and kicking, when we are awake, alive and kicking, what does that mean? That means the manas. What do you mean by I am alive or I am active? That means your manas is active, Your manas channelizes itself through the indriyas. The vehicle for the manas to set out into the outside world is the indriyas. To go out, it uses karmendriya. To come in, it uses jnanendriya. They are all controlled by the mind. And that is why when you sleep, all of them are switched off. When we are sleeping, the hands are put to rest, the eye is put to rest, the ear is put to rest, everything is put to rest when we are sleeping. Because they are all going back to their adhikari or their boss, which is manas. So only because of manas, the world opens up for me. Otherwise, there is no vyavahara possible. And only because of manas, we sustain in our activities. If for somebody who has lost their manas, a person who has completely lost the manas is a person who will not be able to transact anything in the world. For him, the notion of world does not exist. Because if the manas is lost, then his notion of many things are lost. So he or she may be part of the world, but then the world does not exist. Vyavahara does not exist. So in other words, so therefore if you look at it from this perspective, manas is so critical for creating what is called a world for us. At every moment of what it is. Because what is manas? Manas is just a medium through which there is a stream of thoughts which are flowing. And we are nothing but the thoughts. If you take all the thoughts, the world will cease to exist. See, that is what the samadhi. What is the samadhi? Samadhi is not something which they are trying something else. What are they doing? They are saying, I will make manas a non-entity. If you make manas non-entity, the whole world sleeps. The whole world disappears from your screen. Your screen disappears in the first place. There is no screen for you to map any signal onto it. Manas is the screen on which signals have to bombard, like a X-ray skin which hits on a X-rays when it hits on a media or a film, it creates a pattern. If you remove this medium, then the X-ray escapes into the outside world. That's why they do it in a very controlled. They do all this X-raying or any subatomic experimentation or in a very controlled experimentation. If you let it, it will go. You have lost. The reality is not there. That is what manas is doing. Manas is the primary vehicle with which for all practical purposes, the world starts. Manas is the vehicle for all practical purposes with which we sustain the world and run it in a particular way. Because that is what, if you take the Western paradigm, Rene Descartes, he said, I think, therefore I am. So that summarizes this whole idea. Whereas the Indian concept is different. I am, therefore I think. You have to go to the next level. This is the starter. The Purushatva is there, that's why you are thinking. If you suck that energy out of it, you can't think. So that's another statement. The statement he is making is, he says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam, bandha mokshayoho. That is what he is saying by saying, I think, therefore I am. In other words, what is this thinking? The whole faculty is all communicating itself through the manas. Manas is the important link in recognizing the outside world. Manas is the most important link, critical link, with which you do a vyavahara with the outside world. So that is why, it is very important. And our sustenance is nothing but our own ability to carry on the stream of thoughts. What is sustenance of life in a very practical sense, in a vyavaharical sense? It is our ability to carry the streams of thoughts. Thoughts may be changing, but the fact that you carry a stream of thoughts is why you are in a world of vyavahara, in a sustainable way. We are sustaining the world of vyavahara, is because there is a stream of thoughts. If you stop the thoughts, vyavahara come to an end. That's why sometimes the combination of thoughts is such that I am sad. The combination of thoughts is such that I am very happy. The combination of thoughts is such that I am angry, and then I start responding to the outside world. So all these are residing in the manas. So that is why he comes to a conclusion that in a very conceptual way, in a very practical sense, our very existence in this world happened because manas came in. And our sustenance of the world is because the manas, it happened through the medium called manas. and if the manas withdraws, that comes to an end. So this is the Vyavaharika understanding of this, right? So for a person who has lost his mind, his or her mind, nothing in the world, makes any sense for that person. So it is like, it's the end of the whole thing for him or her. So that is why on a Vyavaharika plane, this is the meaning of it. But the Vedantic plane is much deeper. And, I think it's quite deep. I will take a little time and talk about this. So what is the Vyavaharika plane? In order to talk about it, let me go to Prashna Upanishad. See, in Prashna Upanishad, as you know, there are these 6 disciples went to the Rishi called Pipalada. Each disciple asked one question. That's why it's called Prashna Upanishad. It's just 6 questions and answers. That's how the whole structure of the Upanishad is. So Kabandi Katyayana asked the first question. He said, what is this day and night? What is this energy and matter? So about 10, 12 shlokas in which all these are explained. In the 3rd chapter, there is a question. That question is, what is this prana? Because he said, pranam brahmeti vyajanat. Now he is dismissing prana is not. He is saying manas is superior to prana. Na? Where did this idea come from? So there, the 3rd chapter of Prashna Upanishad has a detailed discussion on the aftermath of the prana. Prana gets into inert matter, and then we all start operating. And then the prana goes out, the whole thing comes to a grinding halt. So that part is discussed in chapter 3. So I want to take a few shlokas from there, because that talks about why manas is much above prana and what critical role it plays. There are some discussions, so I want to bring a few of them. So this is the 3rd shloka in the chapter. First 2 shlokas are the question. First shloka is the question. 2nd shloka is a little bit of an answer which continues. It says, Atmanaha yesha pranaha jayate. Yata yesha purushe chaya. In Sandhi it has become chaya tasmin. It is chaya etasmin. A plus A will become I. So when I'm reading itself, I'm breaking it. So you may be thinking I'm reading, I'm just wanting to make it, because in Sanskrit, if you do a padacheda, 90% meaning will come. If you know how to break it, we have solved most of the problem. Then we can sort of find it out. That's why I'm trying to do it. So Atmanaha, there are visarga lopa. Atmanaha yeshaha pranaha jayate. Okay? This prana is born out of Atman. That's what the first statement is saying. Atmanaha, from the Atman. Atmanaha is 5th case of Atman. Atmanaha, from the Atman. Yeshaha pranaha jayate. He is pointing to prana. He asked a question on prana, so he is pointing to. Not in a physical sense. In a figurative sense. He asked prana, I am talking about that prana. So it is not really, you can't point prana like that. In that conversation it is going like that. So out of the Atman, the prana comes. That's what, first of all, he says. Then what is he saying? Yata, he gives an example. Yata, just like that, just like what? Yesha purushe chaya. Just like the shadow of a person. A person can have a shadow. Now, this is not a very casual reference. There is a deep meaning to it. You know what he is saying? There are some properties which you have to understand. Anything can happen to the shadow, but nothing will happen to the object. Bimba pratibimba. Bimba and pratibimba. You can do anything to the pratibimba. No, you can put a mirror and then the sun will reflect. If you break the mirror, you will get 1,000 suns, but there will be only one sun. You can, put a water and then reflect the mirror. You churn the water, the sun will start floating. The sun never floats. Sun is stationary. So we have to understand those concepts here. What he is saying is, Atman will not be, the pratibimba can be destroyed. If you remove the mirror, the pratibimba is gone. If you keep the mirror, the pratibimba is there. If you take the bucket of water, the image is gone. Sun will not go. The image is gone. Correct? So here he is saying, The prana is actually a shadow of the Atman, which means prana will go, Atman will not go. All the property, so this upama is only to be mapped up to this, you should not take it beyond. So what is he saying? He is saying Atman is permanent, that is bimba, this is a pratibimba, and if you need a pratibimba, you need a reflecting medium. How do you get a pratibimba? Without a water, how do you get the image? Without a mirror, how do you see an image of yourself or any object? So moment you say there is an object and there is an image, you need a third entity called a reflecting medium. That's where manas is coming. So he is bringing the whole argument like that. He is saying, yata yesha purushe chaya yetasmin etadatam manokritena ayam atma manokritena ayati manokritena ayati asmin sharire. All these are in sandhi, it's a complex sandhi. Manokritena, so by the act of the manas, correct? Ayati, it comes. So, you know what is this Upanishad saying? Prana, how will it enter? The question he is trying to answer is, he asked about prana, he first wants to tell him, how did prana became live? How did it happen? It said it was already with the Atman, and prana is just a reflection of the Atman called ego. This prana is given a term called ego. It usurps all the agency and then wants to do it. So this Atman lends that. So it is its alter ego. I am using another word, alter ego, to maintain, define ego, not in that sense. What I mean is, Atman says, let the prana, which is my shadow, but in order to enliven it, it uses what is called manas. So, in other words, in Vedanta and several places it is being discussed that this, Jivatma that you see is nothing but the reflected Atma of that Paramatma. It is that larger thing which is reflecting on a medium. And what is the medium? Medium is manas. In other words, what is it saying? Only when the manas is there, the life will start. The prana, that is the entry point for it. If manas is not there, this prana will not enter. The prana will not enter. This is what he is saying. So he is saying, manokritena ayati asmin sharire. By the action of the mind, this enters into this body. So there are two things which we are establishing. What we are establishing is, the cause for prana is now manas. So prana cannot be a Brahman now. We have now dismissed that off by this definition, by this argument that we are saying. It is the reflection medium called manas, in which the Atman reflects, and that reflected reality is what is engaging into the world, into a whole lot of things. This is how he starts the whole discussion. Then he goes into the next shloka, which I have not brought, next in between 4-5 shlokas I haven't brought, where he says, after coming in, this fellow sets the shop. Prana is now saying, I have now found, it's like this camel getting into the tent now. So the manas allowed it, provided the medium to enliven, so the prana came in. Now having come in, now the prana says, I can't handle job by myself. That's the next shloka, in which the Rishi says, just like the king cannot govern the whole country, he appoints some, subordinates. He appoints some subordinates under him, asking him to take care of the administration. That's the kind of words he is using. In the same way, prana said that now I have found, I am the agency now, I have come in. Now let me set up my shop, but I cannot handle all by myself, so let me set up 5 branches. No, 5 pranas. Pancha pranas. Prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. Those are the 5. It says, let me set up these 5 through which I will now engage into the world of first running this show, and through that I will run the show. So apana is, the excretory and all that, samana is the digestive, all those are there. Then I will go to the last shloka, because since manas only allowed it to come in. So logically, when this prana goes out, this manas has to let it go. It passes, it entered through manas. So the Upanishad ends by saying it exits through manas. So let me show that shlokas. Now the exit of the prana. So this is about the death and the next generation. All those are there in these 4 or 5. If you look at it deeply, you will find it. So now the question is, prana came in. How is it going to go up, and what is the process? The path is already we have seen. Antare Nataluka in the first chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad we saw the say Endra Yonihi. That hanging tongue, breast-like tongue, all that, then it goes through, vapor, yes, kapale, it opens the skull and then goes, it's called Indriyoni, all that. We are not talking about the path, we are talking about the process. How is this being recovered? This life which is given on a set of inert, it's like, this is working, we have to pull the plug, it will stop working. Remove the battery, it will stop working. The process of removing the battery. That was explained in the last. That is done by Udana Vayu. So Udana Vayu, so the prana said, I will get too engaged in this world. I need somebody to rescue now. This all happens to us. See, what we do, we get too much engaged into the world, we don't know how to withdraw. And our Udana Vayu is Guru. He wants to suck us out of this. So in the same way, there is this Udana Vayu. That's why Ut means to go up. That's why it's called Udana. It's always like this. It will go up. So how does the Udana Vayu play the role? And what does it do? The process. Taittiriya Upanishad first chapter talks about the path. This is the process. We'll see 2 shlokas. The word Tejas is the proxy for prana. Tejas is prana actually. Tejo hava udanaha. Okay? So the vitality prana gets, the udana is now the entire representative of the prana. That's what it says. It's Tejo hiva. He in Sandhi has become ha. Tejo hiva udanaha. Okay? Tasmat upashanta tejaha. See, if you carefully look at the path of death, the process of death, normal death, whatever death you take, the process, it says, what are all the things which are all switched off, one after the other? The indriyas are all switched off. The shop has to be closed, na? So people stop hearing. They stop smelling. There is an order. Then the eyes, the last is the eye. In the, this thing. Sensation goes, smell goes, taste goes, eye goes. Okay? These are all as far as Indriyas is concerned. Then there is a process, it's available in other Upanishads also. It's by your explanation I am telling. So it withdraws all the faculty. I say Upashanta Tejaha. Upashanti means it's all lowering down. Slowly the battery charge is coming down. It may be slow in a natural death, in a let's say there was an accident or something. It happens in that, but maybe at a nano speed. But there is a certain chronology in which all these are withdrawn. So Upashanta Tejaha. So all those, finally, heat is the last one which is withdrawn. Agni is the last one which goes. That's why, they touch the body and see, 98.6 is no longer there. Na? That's what they say. The last that goes is the Agni. In the Panchabhutas, Agni goes. And then, all that happens. So, Upashanta Teja. So, all of them surrender themselves into what is called Udana. This is the process being explained. Surrender themselves into Udana. Then what happens? Look at the next sentence. These are all paradigms of our living. Punarbhavam. See, we believe in reincarnation. Now, you have to create a continuity for the next. That's explained. How is it done? How is the continuity happening now? You may exit out of this, but then where will it go? And since we believe in doctrine of karma and reincarnation, you have to create these logical links and put them one after the other. So that is a little bit explained. These are all good artha. You have to, Punarbhavam indriyaihi manasi. So what it says is, before this prana is withdrawn, and the Jivatma goes out of this, the Atman goes, the reflecting medium is going to be withdrawn. In the reflecting medium, what happens? That's what it says. What it says? It says, then what should be the next course of action? What is the next path in which I should travel? Is all thought about in the manas. All these ideas are actually converging in the manas. That's what it says. Punar bhavam, which is the future bhava. Bhava is to be, the next janma or whatever. Indriyaihi, manasi, sampadhyamanaihi. All these ideas of where should I go next is decided before exit is done, and that is done by the manas. That's what it says. So manas, before it withdraws, it captures the path in which it should let the next thing. So the manas also escapes from this. It's sukshma dravya. It is not a stula dravya. It's like a software. It is not a hardware. It is seen only in its effect. So it is like a software. So all these thoughts or the indriyas, all those converge on what is the most appropriate path for me to continue now that there is an interruption has come. That gets into the manas. That's what Shloka 9 says. Shloka 10 says, Yat chittastena, chittam is actually interchangeably the manas here actually. What is that thought process thought about by that, right? Yes chittaha tena esha pranam ayati. So the prana is now led through by the mind into another medium. The mind makes itself available as a medium in another context, in which, because mind is the only medium through which the prana can enliven, it gets in there. So this is all being described here. Pranaha tejasa yuktaha sahatmana tata sankalpitam lokam nayati. Sankalpa is the job of manas. So the manas now decides, before the exit happens, the manas has already decided where am I next moment. For us, we are not able to see any of those, but that continuity is being established. But this is why, this is precisely the reason. Look at 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Look at the 6th, 7th, 8th, in the Akshara Brahma Yoga. In those 3-4 shlokas, Krishna says, in the Antima Kale, Prayana Kale Mam, there is a shloka, yeah? Smarati, you will go there. There is a nice shloka like that. That is why he says in the 7th shloka, this is the 6th shloka. The 7th shloka, that's why he says, Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mayyarpita mano buddhi mameva yeshyasi asamshaya. So there is a science here. It's up to us to agree, believe, disbelieve, which is our ancestors are perfectly fine with them. He says, choice is yours. We will not waste our time in all that. This is what it is. So what it is saying is, manas plays a very, very important role in withdrawing. That is the Paramarthika definition of manas is responsible for starting a life. He said, yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhitam pashanti iti prayanti abhisam vishanti. That is done by the manas. This is the process by which the prana is transmuted from one mortal, physical kind of an existence to another existence, ihaloka, paraloka, we do not know. That process is what is explained. This kind of a contemplation, Bhrigu came to a conclusion, therefore manas is Brahman, because that is the embodiment of orchestrating this entire journey of all the souls. The cosmic manas, picks up all these ideas and then orchestrates how a Janma must start, how a Janma must end, and in between manas runs everything. That's why in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita he said, Uddaret Atmana Atmanam Atmanam Na Avasadayet. Atmaiva Bandhuhu Atmanam Atmaiva Vipuratmanaha. Manas is is the maintainer. Manas is the one which is the media on which the prana starts reflecting and says, I am the ego. And when you have to withdraw it, everything, the Udhana Vayu, gets along with the manas and goes away. That is the whole description. In Samkshepa it is there in these 2 shlokas. But I was trying to explain, this is available in many other, our literature are all connected. The similar things are told in many places so that the reinforcement of that concept, happens. So that is the Paramarthika angle to the whole discussion. That manas is the start. That is why what we think And what we think in Srimad Bhagavata, that's why Ajamila and all those, Puranas, see, Puranas tell it in a very dramatic way. See, you need different ways of saying. Some serious contemplative argument, some people cannot take it. Some people don't want it. Some people are okay if you tell a nice little story, I will take it on the face value of it, I have faith on it and I will go. That's why these multiple channels of knowledge tells it in very different ways. So in Bhagavatam, that entire story is meant to that. In a very dramatized way, it is saying at the 11th hour he called Narayana and all that kind of story. Huh? Jataparata is also another story. No, but this story is saying that, that if your thoughts are very good, at the final moment, if your thoughts are very good, that's why in Mukunda Mala, so beautifully, Kulasekara Alvar says, he says, Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavada Pittau Smaranam Kutaste. I will pray right now because it will be a traffic jam. He says, when the prana is going out of me, there will be a traffic jam. Kanta avarodhanam, prana prayana samaye, kapavada pittaihi, all these will compete with one another and then jam it. I will not. Remember, that's what Mukundamala. So this idea is told by many people in many ways that manas, keeping our manas in a certain frame is a very, very important thing because our sojourn is a function of that. From one instance to another instance. That is why there is this cultivating of the mind is being emphasized in a big way in our Samskriti and in our way of doing things. This is the Vedantic argument as to why manas is very important. And Purana and Shlokas and all those tell it in a different way. So, Bhrigu really had this confusion because manas seems to really play the role now. Because the manas is not, manomaya, please understand. This manas is coming from an universe of a manas into which all these are coming. So that is why he thinks, he mistakes it for Brahman. So I want to clarify another dimension which I could have clarified earlier also. Yeah, I will. Yeah, so that's called Hiranyagarbha. So first of all we must understand, he said Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. He never said Annamaya Brahmeti Vyajanat. These words are very, very important. He never said Pranamaya Brahmeti Vyajanat. He said Pranam Brahmeti Vyajanat. He never said Manomaya Brahmeti Vyajanat. He said Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat. So what is the difference? Annamaya is different from Annam, actually. Pranamaya is different from Pranam. Manomaya is different from Manas. What is the difference? I mentioned it in the second chapter. So there is this Mayat Pratyaya. In Sanskrit, there is this tag attached. The whole Sanskrit is just you take one small little piece, attach one tag at the front, one tag at the back, you get a powerful language. It's very simple. If you understood the trick, you will learn Sanskrit. Much easier. So there is a prefix called Mayat. Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Hiranmaya, Hiranmaya Kosha. Right? He says, Buddhi, so there is this Maya. Mayat actually means, one of the important meaning of Mayat, the Pratyaya. Pratyaya means prefix. The Maya Pratyaya, Mayat, it is a tag actually. Israel Panini he uses some linked list. A lot of computer science ideas he has actually. So it is a tag, he will throw it. But with that he will kick another roll. That's why it is coming. So forget about the it. It's Maya. But in Vyakarana we call it Mayat Pratyaya. So the Mayat Pratyaya actually denotes Vikarartha. Vikara is modification. So Annamaya is a modification of Annam. Pranamaya is a modification of Prana. So Manomaya is a modification of Manas. Right? So Manomaya actually points to Vyashti, microcosm. Manas points to Samashti. This is where his genuine doubt is here only, from the beginning. He thought Samashti is Brahman. Vyashti is not. Anda is Brahman. Pinda is not. This is his argument, which seems to be a correct argument. Microcosm is not Brahman. He says microcosm is Brahman. This is where he is stuck. That's why he says, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat. Now the question is, how did he come out of it and say, no, no? That's where I talk about Apekshika Karana. He realized that even that is impermanent. This mana, this larger thing. So I will little bit talk about that. So manas clearly is the karanam now for a karya called manomaya. Manomaya is a karya. Just like a universe of clay is a karanam for the world of objects made out of clay. A universe of stone, a boulder of stone can be the karana. And what is the karya? Thousands of objects coming out of stone. It can be a temple pillar, it can be a nice, cute looking grinder which you can, I mean, we can think of a universe of items coming out of. So in that way, manas is karana. That is why he thought it is Brahman. Then, as in the past, what we find, this karanam is an intermediate cause, not the primordial cause. This karanam is not, because manas can also be destroyed. So there are certain principles of what divinity which is violated here. Which is why he again comes to a conclusion it cannot be, although it appears to be a larger. Although it is a samashti. Now there are shlokas in Gita I will quote, where samashti will also go. I will quote 1 or 2 slokas from chapter 8. Now today we will use chapter 8. Akshara Brahma Yoga has all that. So Manomaya is temporary. Once the pranan goes, Manomaya is gone. We will consign it to flames and that's the end of it. It's all over. The manas is also disappeared from here and goes to that cosmic. So even manas, which is Hiranyagarbha, in its aspect of will, sankalpa and icha shakti. Whereas Hiranyagarbha in its aspect of cosmic knowledge is Vijnana. This Hiranyagarbha, see the Annam and then Prana is called Virat. This is the Stula. Then in Sukshma we have an entity called Hiranyagarbha. It is this cosmic intelligence from which this small intelligence has gotten into all of us. It is the cosmic buddhi from which small buddhi has come. So, Samashti, Manas is Hiranyagarbha. So he thought Hiranyagarbha is Brahman. But then no, even that is not. Because that will also be destroyed. There are any references in Puranas, but I will take Bhagavad Gita because that's the easiest, which we know and we can easily connect to. He says, Abrahma Bonan Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, from Brahma, who is the Srishtikarta and all that, to all these universe will go. All of them have the habit of coming and going. So now the Samashti will also be destroyed. And anything which is destroyed cannot be divinity. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. There is Antam now. He is talking about Anta now. A Brahma Bhuvanaha. A means from in Sanskrit. For from also is A, from to is also A. Himalaya, A Kanyakumari, Bharata Desham. A means from, A means to also. It's the boundary interval. If you want to mention any interval, you can use A, which is a Panchama Vibhakti actually. Himalayat, Kanyakumari Paryantam, Bharata Desham. Instead of saying that, A Himalayam, A Kanyakumari, Bharata Desham, you can say. That's a prayoga. So he says A. A means from Brahman to Bhuvana. A Brahma Bhuvana Lokaha. Not just this world. The whole, galaxy, Milky Way, whatever you call it, all of them will go one day. Punar avartino. It has a habit of coming again. If it has to come again, first it has to go, no? After going only it can come back. So he says there is, today science is also only putting an age of the planet. If you put age of the planet as so many trillion years, now my question is what happened before that? It was not there. So there is a beginning. And anything which has a beginning will have an end. And then it doesn't fit into our definition of divinity. Divinity can never begin and not end. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. That is the simple definition of divinity. So that is why this will go. So Hiranyagarbha will also go one day.
What's the link between Brahma and Hiranyagarbha?
From Brahma comes, first, there is a certain order of the creation. Bhagavatam 3rd canto, you will see it. Hiranyagarbha, then Prajapatis, 28 Prajapatis, like that. Different Puranas are saying it slightly differently. Notwithstanding those strict order and hair splitting these rational ideas.
Why? Because you are saying Hiranyagarbha will be born.
Yeah, they are born of Brahman is Hiranyagarbha. There is another reference like that, which is interchangeable. In fact, there is a Hiranyagarbha Sukta. Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jata patireka asit. That's the first mantra. Hiranyagarbha. Idam agra asit. Bhutasya. Jataha patihi ekaheva asit. That's how it's a Rigveda Sukta. There it says, come. The next line will always talk about Ka is Brahman. So Brahman and Hiranyagarbha are interchangeably used. These are all terminologies for different, as saying that I am a father, I am a professor, I am a friend, I am a brother, I am a son, I am a...
So more or less Brahma is Hiranyagarbha.
So it's a Srishtikarta, from which these entities, different facets are to be understood. So he says, Abrahma bonan loka punaravartino Arjuna. Then what he says? Paraha tasmat tu. Kasmat tu avyaktat. Little later it is coming. Paraha tasmat tu bhavaha anyaha. Avyaktaha. There is another unmanifested form which is avyaktat tasmat. There is so-called unmanifested world which will become manifest, and then it will become unmanifest. See, as long as there is enough fuel, fire will manifest. When the fuel is empty, fire exists, but it unmanifested. It will come back. If you again pour a little kerosene, put a few wood and then put it, fire will come. So you have to understand this notion of manifestation and unmanifested. The principle of fire can never go, but it can manifest and unmanifest. So this world will manifest and unmanifest, but he says there is a higher level of unmanifestation beyond this. So he says, avyaktat tasmat tu bhavaha anyaha avyaktaha. There is one more unmanifested form which is beyond the so-called manifestation, unmanifested form that you are seeing. Yaha saha sarveshu bhuteshu nashyati. Even if all these jiva rashis destroy, that will not, the God particle, that will not destroy. Even if it destroy all woods and quench the fire, fire will not go. One day you bring some wood and put some little bit of matchstick, it will start. So how did you destroy? Fire can never be destroyed. Like that. So he says, Sarveshu bhuteshu nashyati tu sa na vinashyati. So he is saying that the ultimate meaning of divinity is that which will never be destroyed, can never be destroyed. Avinashi. You can create another entities which look so long. Trillion years of planet life looks too long for our mundane living. But even he says, Abrahma bonat logat punaravartinojina, that also will go. So this Hiranyagarbha will also have to go. If Hiranyagarbha has to go, it cannot be Brahman. That is all is the argument for all that. I could have done all these arguments for the earlier one. For everyone I am using different methodologies so that we maximize our understanding of what is this deep idea here.
But you can say day for Brahman, day for Brahman, and Avyakta is the Ratri for Brahman.
Yes, all those slokas follow after this. Ratriyagame, Praviliyante Punar, all those happens. 1000, yuga cycles. 1000 yuga cycles. One yuga cycle itself is, Kali Yuga alone, in our scheme of things, Kali Yuga alone is 4,32,000 years. You multiply it with 10 times, 10. That is the total yuga cycle. So, which means...
4.2 billion per day is 4.2 billion.
Yeah, 4.32 actually. Multiplied by 1000, so put a 10 power 3 after that. That is the daytime of Brahman. So this universe, that is the life of the universe. In the night time of Brahman, he will withdraw everything. Everything he will...
3,11,000 crore years.
A big number there, Science is also talking big numbers, which are, much larger, closer to these kinds of numbers anyway. So after having all that, he has come back to the same situation now. Tad Vijnaya, now he understood it is not a Brahman. First he said it is a Brahman, now things are not squaring up for him. Tad Vijnaya, Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara, he went to his father again. Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmheti, please tell me what is this Brahman. The father pushed him back. Go back. Tagumho Vacha, he told him. What did he say? Tapasa Brahma Vijay. Go and think further. Contemplate even more. Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva. So he came back again. Saha atapyata. Tapo brahmheti. You will understand this concept by your own effort, by your own contemplation. My giving answer and all doesn't. Actually, that is the truth of life. Even in Vyavaharika, I am telling you, forget about Paramarthika. Even in Vyavaharika life, until you know it for yourself, all the knowledge is of no use. I mean, it can help you a little bit. That's all. The real knowing is when I have known. Not I have read and I have a copy of report with me, which I can refer. I have not known then. You should get in here, no? Get into the DNA. That comes by contemplation. A good work that we do, maybe we write a software, we work on a certain problem, we decipher a technology over years, that is deep tapas. You have done deep contemplation day after day after day after day on that. That's why it became knowledge. Same idea there also. So he says, go back and reflect. Superior knowledge you get only by reflection, no other ways. So the next Anuvaka. Vijnanam brahmheti vyajanat vijnanadhyeva kalvimani bhutani jayante vijnanena jatani jivanti vijnanam prayanti abhisham vishantiti tad vijnaya punareva varunam pitaram upasasara adihi bhagavo brahmheti tagum hovacha tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva tapo brahmheti satapo tapyata satapas taptva. So he goes through one more chakra now. Now he has abandoned manas because he thought it's not working out for him. And then he goes back to contemplation. He says, no, it is this vijnanam, this intellect and intelligence. Because intelligence only expresses through the manas. Manas is only a medium through which prana activates. The know-how, see, there are two things you need. To do anything, to exist, to sustain, for everything, you need two things. One of them is the Icha Shakti. The other and the Jnana Shakti. Then only the Kriya will happen. So the Jnana Shakti comes through Vijnana. You need Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. The Kriya Shakti, which is the world of activity, I come in, I live, I sustain myself, I withdraw and go. These are all the Kriya Shakti component. For the Kriya Shakti component to happen, you need Icha Shakti and Jnana Shakti. The Icha Shakti of Hiranyagarbha, these are all the cosmic energy of Icha Shakti and Jnana Shakti. And the Icha Shakti of the cosmic flows through Hiranyagarbha, through Manas. This is Sankalpa Vikalpa Manam Manaha. That's why the decision to do is done by the mind. But the know-how is supplied by the intellect. The action is done by prana. The Kriya Shakti is given by prana. Kriya Shakti is subservient to all this. You just see the hierarchy of things. Without know-how and desire, what action? There will be no action. That's what I talked so far. Without desire and know-how, the vitality is of no use. Na? What will you do with the vitality if you don't have a know-how and you don't have a desire? So for doing anything, you need samarthya and you need prerana. Prerana is desire. I want to get this. That comes through the mind. Right? But the samarthya comes through the vijnana. They all then express through the lower form of samarthya called the physicality of doing it, which is prana. So prana is seen in the hierarchy of things. That's why in the Panchakosha Vivarana, they place prana immediately after Anna. Because prana is just the mechanical action. The know-how and the desire is much higher. Na? Just think about it. Lower divisional clerk taking instruction from you, typing and sending letter. He will be able to do no job if his superiors are not conceptualizing, planning him and giving him the action plan. Otherwise, this person is he will be just sitting. He can't do anything. So prana may look like a very, very powerful thing. No. The prana, manas is better than prana. The vijnanam is better than manas. So that is why this is the order in which it is positioned here. So vijnanam brahmeti vyajana. So that's why he applied the same thing and he said the Hiranyagarbha of the Jnana Shakti is from where this knowledge All these knowledge has percolated. So that is the one, without knowledge, in fact the very knowledge only enables the manas and then which makes the prana enliven. If the knowledge is not there, many of these will fall out of place. That's why he came to a conclusion. Now Vijnana is the Brahman, because the same idea he translated to a higher level. He took it to the next higher level. But then again, I don't want to argue, the same arguments come again. All the arguments, what are the arguments that we have made? It's not permanent. Vijnanam also will go. Because he says, I alone remain, all others destroy. I alone remain, everything will get destroyed. So even Hiranyagarbha as a Ichha, Jnana Shakti will also have to go. So it's not permanent. It is subject to beginning and end. Therefore it doesn't qualify itself to be the Brahman. It is subject to modifications. Again I could have used a Vyavaharika and Paramarthika to explain all these. We know the knowledge is subject to modification in a Paramarthika plane and as well as in a Vyavaharika plane. It keeps on changing. Our understanding of intelligence, the notion of intelligence keeps changing. Although it comes from a seemingly unchanging repository of intelligence which also goes on day. This is how the whole hierarchy is. So finally he comes that therefore this will not work. I'll stop here. I think it's already 7:1. We will little bit talk about it in the next class, but then so he concludes with Anandam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Also he says Shantam, Shivam, all those are there in Mandukya Upanishad. It is the bliss. This bliss or happiness is Brahman, is the ultimate thing. The bliss that we, Priyamoda Pramoda, that we saw in Taittiriya Upanishad. Priyamoda Pramoda. They're all minuscules of bliss. And that's why we saw in the last chapter of chapter 2, we found the Anandamaya Mimamsa. We went to 10 power 20 and said it is all bliss. Bliss is Brahman. He finally comes to a conclusion that bliss is Brahman, which we will see, which is the last Anuvaka in this series of discussion, which we will see in the next class. Thank you.